All right, so I am super excited. Good morning, rise and shine. Today is the official day of the Permission to Feel and Heal Virtual Summit, and we have our amazing speakers lined up. You can see their beautiful faces. Good morning, good morning. Now is the day that we're going to feel and heal. Everybody wave, give everybody good mornings. We're waking them up this morning. I am Dr. Cherie M. Good, the visionary behind the book and the virtual summit, Permission to Feel and Heal. As you see on your screen this morning, we have some dynamic speakers ready to inspire you, to encourage you, to uplift you, and give you the permission that you need to feel and heal. So we are not going to take a long time to introduce everybody, but just want to start off with telling a little bit about my story and what sparked this mission. So as many of you know, on August the 22nd of 2020, I lost my amazing baby boy, Jordan Alexander Cofield, in a tragic motorcycle accident. This was an occurrence, a happening that actually rocked my world. It left me speechless. It rocked me to my core. And in the process of my healing, I felt the need to help others. Why? Because there are a lot of us hurting right now. We've all had losses. Some are greater than others. And it's not just about loss and death. Some of the losses that we are experiencing that we're talking about are losses on different levels. It could be financial losses, losses of businesses, whatever it is, whatever loss that we have experienced in our life, all of it hurts. And so today we are giving you the permission that you need to feel and heal. So sometimes you have to go through it to get through it, right? And it's up to us how long we let what hurt us haunt us. So every day that we wake up, we get a do-over to fix whatever it was that we didn't like about the day before. Whatever feelings that we had yesterday, we get a do-over to try to mend and heal and be whole again. And so today, the wishes that myself and these dynamic speakers have is that you will be touched, inspired, and pushed further into your healing process. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in because we value your time and we want to make sure that you hear everybody. So our first speaker is Stacy Whitaker Harris, and she's going to come and wake us up this morning. So Stacy, you have the stage.
Okay, a little technical difficulty there. Great morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Um, there you go. I am going to share my screen. Right. So this morning, I would like to share with you from the topic, Your Heart Matters Matter. And I'm sharing that because grief and loss is not something that any individual goes through with everybody. You go through it by yourself, even though you may have a whole lot of family and friends that may be impacted by the same things that you're impacted by. I just want to give a little intro and just talk about the fact that, first off, I'm nervous. And I know Dr. Cherie said not to be nervous this morning, but I am a little bit nervous. Why? Because my pain kind of transcended a long lifeline. It had a long, long line. And I'm just really getting to the place where I'm unpacking the things that have, as Dr. Cherie just now said, haunted me for the last 21 years. So this morning, I want to not just talk at you and talk to you, but I want us to engage in a conversation this morning. And so I'm going to inject a little bit of humor where humor is possible and where it's appropriate. And maybe where it may not be appropriate in some people's eyes, because grief is a heavy topic. It's a heavy topic to discuss, talk about. So the goal for the summit for me is, again, not to just talk at you, but for us to engage in a conversation. So the first thing that I'm going to do, if I go a little bit forward. All right, there you are, is remind you this morning that your heart matters matter. They matter. And so it is absolutely essential and important for you to know that about yourself, that whatever it is that's ailing you, aching you, or bothering you, it is okay for you to feel that. So last year we had a pandemic. So for the last 16 plus months, we've been dealing with a lot of loss and grief. And as you will hear many of the speakers talk about, some of us didn't just begin to feel and experience grief at the place where we lost family members last year, or lost jobs, or lost loved ones, relationships fell apart. So many different things happened last year that sparked off a sense of getting straight to the heart matters. We were isolated and alone and feeling overwhelmed. Some people felt abandoned, rejected, again, isolated. And it created a space where many of us did not know that we had not necessarily conquered and mastered, or even dealt with the things that had been bothering us and plaguing us for so many years. So for me personally, my story is titled Healing After a Real Life Nightmare. And I had multiple nightmares happening at one time last year, but that's not the thing that really that I really want to focus on, right? I really want to focus on what the nightmares from last year pushed me into. So it pushed me into a space where I had to focus and realize that I had not dealt with heart matters from losing my dad when I was 5 years old. Like, that's a long time for somebody to be grieving and not really know or understand that you still have some heart issues. But it wasn't just my dad. I lost my mom when I was 24. And who can be an orphan at age 24? Well, I felt like I was an orphan at the age of 24. Like, I had children and I was married, but I still felt like I needed both of my parents, and I missed out on a lot of the different things that they had to offer and to teach me. And so last year, after watching my own children kind of take a spiral mentally and emotionally, just grieving over losses of jobs and losses of family members and losses of so many different things that were going on, it made me take a hard look at myself, a look in the mirror, and face the reality that I too needed to face my heart matters. And because we're examples for our children, but so many other people look to us as examples, especially when you seem to be the strong one, right? Everybody kind of thinks that you are okay, and you smile all the time. And I talked about this before when we launched the book, is that, I wear this big smile, right? And everybody always looks at it and go like, oh, Stacey's good. I have a strong faith, and they hear me talk about my faith and they go, oh, Stacey's good. But I really had not gotten to some heart-centered issues. And so I'm going to keep going. So I want to share this. It says, healing necessitates a fearless connection to the divine, strong faith, and commitment to living your truth in the world. That's Wendy DeRosa. Healing looks different for every individual. So I want to just encourage you not to judge yourself, and don't judge others, because you don't know what people are going through. And just because you may navigate your space of healing in one way, other people are going to navigate in a different way. So it's okay for you to, again, some people felt like, I had a friend of mine who lost a mom, and she was able to navigate that space and get through it and cope. And she was surrounded by a supportive, loving community. And she was able to navigate that space and get through it in like a year or so. For me, it took the last 21 years, and I will be honest and say that I'm still healing. I miss my parents fiercely, each and every day. I think about when we have huge milestones in my life, like when I got married. I didn't have my father to walk me down the aisle. I invited my brother to walk me down the aisle, and it was like having my dad, but still missing my dad, right? When I graduated from college, my mom wasn't here to celebrate with me, neither was my dad, but my mom was here when I started college, and she was very excited about what I was doing and was very encouraging. So I missed her during that time. Every time a new life, a milestone hit, I was realizing that I was sad and I was depressed at different times. So I want to encourage you also to be kind to yourself, because I think I felt like at times when I smiled, like maybe I shouldn't be smiling, I should still be grieving. at times when I was grieving, I felt like I should be happy, and I was trying to push myself and force myself to be happy. And with times when people encouraged me to like go to counseling, and I thought, I'm okay. I don't really need to go to counseling. But I know I want to just encourage you to be kind to yourself. I want to also just talk about the importance of self-care. It's necessary for healing, right? When we talk about self-care, some people think that we're just talking about having a pamper day, like going to the spa and, getting your nails painted, or getting a massage, or going to the chiropractor or something like that. But when I'm sharing self-care, I'm talking about sitting still, right? I'm talking about taking out your journal, writing, um, times of quiet just for you, right? Where you do whatever it is that you want to do in that space. I'm recommending some things as I'm talking, but I'm just saying do whatever it is that you want to do. It's not necessarily about the beautification of things, but it's about processing and really allowing yourself to feel. And that's the purpose of writing permission to feel and heal. And while I'm talking about your heart matter. So sit still is what I did, and took out my journal and I wrote. I actually started painting, and I have a painting. I would pull it up on screen, but I don't think it's going to show. A painting sitting right behind me that I did. I think in a matter of maybe 4 months, I probably did like 60 paintings. I didn't even know I could paint, but I just started with the things that were in my heart. And at first, when I started painting on the canvas, it looked like chaos. It just looked like chaos. And because that's how I was feeling on the inside. The more I painted and the more I reflected and the more I poured out onto using my pen and my paper, or just speaking, writing my poems or whatever I did, the more I realized the pictures changed. They brightened up, they got lighter. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. I paint a lot of earthy things. But that's because that's what resonates with me, and that's where I am. I want to encourage you also to not be afraid to share the matters of your heart. So a lot of times we feel like, am I talking about this too much? Do these people want to hear what I have to say about my pain, about my hurt? I remember there was an instance where my brothers and sisters and I, we all lost our parents together, at the same time. But healing for them looked different than it did for me. For me, I wanted to talk about my mother. I wanted to talk about the different things about her. I wanted to be able to cry with them, but they were not in that space. And it was very challenging to have conversations with my siblings because they were not ready to have the kind of conversations I wanted to have, or they didn't want me to be crying all the time. They were saying things like, I don't want to talk to you because every time you talk, you start crying, and I don't want to do tears. But that was my expression. So then in a huge way, I feel like that kind of stifled some of my healing because I felt like I needed to bottle it up. I felt like I needed to hold on to it. So I want you to be aware that some people are not able to handle what you might want to bring and share about your loved one or about your losses, because we're talking about loss in a huge way across a huge spectrum. But find the proper support and supportive community. So for me, that means I have 2 or 3 trusted confidants and friends that I can talk to. 2 women who are elders, who are like mothers to me, mother figures that I talk to, and of course, counseling. So that's the last part of the slide that says counseling is not a dirty word. Please don't feel like you can't get counseling. I had a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to say and wanted to do, but I'm just going to conclude it and stop with this and just say your heart matter. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. And that's the late, great Maya Angelou. And again, it's important for you to share your story, to talk about what's aching you, what's ailing you, what's bothering you. And to talk, and that means like divorce is a heavy topic. Grief, we talk about grief. I mean, you grieve the loss of a marriage. I mean, I grieve that too when I got divorced. So there are so many different ways that you can go through grief and loss. And there's not one way to heal. There are so many different ways. So remember that your heart matter. And I'm here with you on this healing journey. I want to thank you for your time and for your participation this morning. I know the rest of the speakers are going to be awesome. And thank you, Dr. Shariam Good, for just being awesome and amazing. Here are the ways in which you can contact me if you want to reach out. I have a mailing list. If you want to go to my website, www.stacyjwhitakerharris.com. And my email address is stacy@stacyjwhitakerharris.com. And you can also find me on social media through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm pretty sure I'm on many more spaces and places, but those are the ones that I have here. Thanks again for your time. And remember to be kind to yourself, love yourself, and know that it's okay for you to feel and to heal. Many blessings.
Awesome. Yes, yes. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you so much. That was amazing. And I'm taking notes over here. So we all, oh, let me change my view here. All right. So we all are going to benefit definitely from today's virtual summit. So a couple things that she said that I definitely can appreciate just going through my own grief journey is to, number one, be kind to yourself. So be kind to yourself. Perform that self-care, and self-care is something that should be done every day, not just annual vacation or something like that. It needs to be done every single day. And then also seek counseling if you need it. Counseling is not a dirty word. Grief counseling, counseling for loss. Again, we're not just talking about death and dying today. We're talking about losses on a variety or large scale. So whether it be loss from a relationship, loss from businesses, loss of finances, or loss and death, all of us are healing in some sort of way in our lives. And so remembering that healing looks different for everybody. So your healing journey is not going to be the same as my healing journey. Um, Dr. David Banks' healing journey won't be the same as Shayna Asby's healing journey. So we all have to be kind to ourselves. Remember that we all, every day, we're healing from something in some sort of way. So the goal today is to inspire, to encourage, to let you know you're not alone in your healing journey. All of us have something that we're healing from. So we appreciate everyone taking their time to spend time with us this morning. So we're going to do a couple shout outs while we're here. I want to shout out my former coworker, Johnny Joyner. I see you over there, Johnny. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you spending your morning with us. My good girlfriend, Caprice Smith, and also my senior director with Mary Kay, Caprice Smith. She's also a dynamic speaker. She's tuning in while she's performing her self-care. She's at the nail shop. She sent me a message. I'm at the nail shop, but I'm tuning in. That's what I like to see. Dr. David Banks, dynamic in his own ranks. We've done some speaking engagements together. Thank you for joining us this morning. Also, let me talk about Facebook Live over here. So we got some folks over here on Facebook Live. We have Teresa Ann Mosley. She just released her book too. So check her out. She's a dynamic author. We have Dejelle Setzer. She's tuning in over here. Kajafa James, who is also one of our contributing authors. So thank you everybody for sharing your morning with us today. Please hit the share button. Also, we have my coworker Kelly Mack. She is a social worker on here, and she's tuning in this morning. Thank you through Facebook Live. Thank you for sharing your morning with us. We're going to keep this party going, okay? So again, remember, loss, grieving, people have uncertainty about how they're going to feel. So I love that you brought that out, because there are some days I know personally, I really don't know how to act. I'm like, okay, it's not an act. This is my life. But you feel like I don't even know what to do with myself. I don't know, do I feel awkward in a room full of people? Like everybody around me is having joy and they are loving life. But then I'm sitting here sitting awkward because I'm in my feelings about my loss, and nobody else understands. They think you have attitude. They think that like, what is wrong with her? When in all actuality, I'm grieving. I'm still healing. And there are going to be days like that. This was a really tough week for me, personally, just thinking a lot about my son, and just seeing the graduations. It reminded me that my son is not here to share those joys. He would have been going into his junior year of college. He was thriving. And so it's been a very, very difficult week for me, but we still have to continue to push through. And so we want everyone to know that's tuning in, you are not alone. You share feelings like many of us here today, and others who may not openly express whatever emotions or feelings that they're going through from day to day. So we want you to know you're not alone. We want you to heal. We want you to feel. And hopefully this virtual summit will give you some pointers on how to enhance your healing experience. So we're going to keep it moving. Our next dynamic speaker, and I love her shirt. It says "Speak Life." So we're going to call to the stage Bianca Sneed. You have the stage, sis.
Gratitude to everyone, all of my co-authors, Miss Cherie. This has been amazing, but I'm not going to take too much time on that moment. Just want to thank you all. Quick question for our audience. What is the first thing we do when we first enter this world and the last thing we do when we exit? And I know you guys can't actually answer that, so I'm going to answer it for you. And my shirt says it. We breathe, right? So my main thing here was honoring my breath, learning to honor my breath, learning to honor the space that I was in. This is actually intentional that this would happen this weekend for this virtual summit, because this is my anniversary for healing, literally tomorrow. My hurt came from a trio effect of losing my father 3 years ago tomorrow. A month after that, my job closed down. And 5 months after that, my grandmother passed. And to me, it was almost like a train wreck, and again, just like Stacy mentioned, I'm always a strong person. I'm there for everyone else. I'm always the one that's ready to show up and ask, what can I do to serve? How can I serve? But in that moment, I felt like my faith was gone. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I hear a lot of people saying, well, God intended this to happen this way, and it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. But when you're in it, you don't want to hear that. In all actuality, you want it to be fixed. You want to feel healed. And I want to just take you guys to the pivotal moment for me when I realized that the most important thing in my healing journey was to honor my breath. I was having secret panic attacks. And I say secret because, again, I didn't feel that I was allowed to show that space of grieving. I didn't feel like I was given the right to have a down day. I had to always show up, and I had to smile and show that I'm the strong mom. I can be here for everybody, even though I've just taken this trio loss. And I would go into my bathroom and run my shower and just cry and have panic attacks every night, over and over. I would wait until the kids were asleep, wait until my husband was asleep, and just have panic attacks. And one night it had gotten so bad where I literally almost collapsed on the floor, and I looked up at the shower curtain, and it's a family joke because my daughter wanted to get this, I called it a cheesy shower curtain. And I said, I don't want to get that shower curtain. She's like, Mom, just get it. And I collapsed on the floor, and I looked up, and my shower curtain said, just breathe. And in that moment, it was almost as if God had strategically placed that moment in my life for me to realize that I have control over my steps, my journey, my pauses, and it's okay to take those, and it's very necessary to take those. When I got the call that my father had passed away, again, like I said, this was 3 years this weekend, I felt like my life had shattered. I didn't know, excuse me, I didn't know which way to go. And and it's funny because sometimes we say these things out of our mouths and manifest things that we don't even realize. I had always said, speak life. That was my thing. That was my hashtag. I didn't realize how much I was going to need my own advice during this time of healing, because I was always telling everyone, oh, grab you an affirmation. And it's nice when you're not in it. It feels good. It's easy to share that with someone else, to say, you can speak life, you can get through this. And then when you get hit with it, it's like, whoa. So it was almost like I had gotten that reminder that I had been speaking this to build myself up for this moment. And one of my friends reminded me, he said, you are Miss Speak Life. You need to take your own advice and sit down and remind yourself of not only who you are, but whose you are. And I just want to tell you guys on today, and just like all of my co-authors has said multiple times, there's no time to healing. There's no cutoff time. See, my mistake was I felt like, okay, my father passed. 1 month later, my job closed down. So now that's interrupted my income. But guess what? I'm okay. Move on. 5 months later, my grandmother passed. And this is the woman who practically raised me. So these were major hurts that I wasn't acknowledging as that. I looked at it like, okay, this happened. I'm going to give it a month. I'll grieve for a month. I got to get back to work. My job closed down. I got to get back to building my business. I did not allow myself permission. And that is why as soon as I seen this shared on social media, it was like, oh my goodness, that is what I needed to remind myself that, and you all should remind yourselves as well. There is no cutoff time for healing. You can be grieving on Monday and feel absolutely perfectly fine on Wednesday. And then a month later, you feel exactly how you felt the Monday prior. And it's okay. It is okay. And again, this is one thing that I had to continuously remind myself, that I had to take the necessary steps that honored myself, that honored my breathing, that honored my truth of my hurt, and I have a few notes here that I want to share with you guys. The first one is to give yourself permission to grieve and experience in that moment. Like I said prior, I didn't give myself that permission because I felt like I was a strong person. Who am I to take time off and say, I need this moment? I didn't feel that I was worthy to experience that grieving process because I felt like everyone else needed me. And this was a facade that I put on for myself because people were actually granting me that permission. I just wasn't taking it because I had placed myself in a position of I have to be everything to everyone. And you don't. You don't. So the first thing is to give yourself permission to experience that, giving yourself permission to feel. That's another thing. I didn't want to feel the pain. Who wants to be in pain? Who wants to sit down with those moments where I was literally on my phone looking through my photos, and I would scroll right over my dad's pictures. Like I would just go over them. I would scroll over those moments, anything in that time frame, because I didn't want to feel it. And what happened to me personally was because I prolonged the experience so long, it hit me all at one time. I was prolonging the emotion of it because, again, I didn't feel worthy enough to go through that. My father passed from cancer, and I watched him in those ending days going through the pain. So in my mind, who am I to feel pain because he's gone? He went through this. So I didn't give myself that permission to feel. Another thing is accept where you are in your healing journey. It's okay if you're still grieving. It's okay to admit and say, you know what, I can't show up today, and not have a reason behind it. Because that's another thing that I felt like I was tied to a reason, an excuse. I had to tell people, I can't show up today because I'm feeling like this and this and that and the third. And just like Cherie said, everyone's not going to understand or overstand rather how you're feeling in that moment, because they may or may not have gone through something like that. I had one instance where a young lady, and I know it wasn't intentional, but she said to me, you're still grieving? And I was taken back because I said, wait a minute, yeah, my life has been traumatically changed in this moment. So, accepting where you are and sitting down with yourself, and just like Stacey said, journaling, sitting down. And with me, I know she said she went to painting. I went to just writing, sketching out whatever I felt in that moment. Sometimes it was just big letters. Sometimes it was, I need a hug. Sometimes it was, I need to cry. Whatever that looks like for you, honor that, accept that, and just sit in that moment and say, you know what, this is the season that I'm in right now, and that's okay. I don't have to show up for this. I don't have to give an explanation as to why I can't return that phone call, as to why I had to turn my phone off, and sit in silence, or just sit in a moment of my own truth. It's okay to accept where you are. Another note is find a healing partner, and let me just say this. When I say find a healing partner, your grieving partner may or may not be the same person as your healing partner, because now we all have empaths that love to grieve with us, and we love them. We honor them. We're grateful for them, but we don't want to stay there. Right? So we have that partner where this person may be your grieving partner, but then you may have to separate and say, hey, thank you for that season. I honor you. I thank you. I appreciate you in that season of my life. However, now I need to heal. Now I need a healing partner. And who is that healing partner? A healing partner is someone who will speak life into you. A healing partner is a person that will allow you those moments to be in that space, but they will not allow you to stay there. A healing person is someone who will pull you up and not necessarily enable you, but they'll give you that extra oomph that you need to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to come grab you today. Hey, let's go get a Starbucks. That's just me personally. I love Starbucks. But, you know, a healing person is someone who doesn't necessarily have to understand where you are, but they understand where you're going. Right. So we have those people in our lives that know, hey, I know that Bianca is aspiring to get to this point. I can't let her stay in this space. Come on, let's do something productive today, but still honor your space, right? So you want to make sure that you identify your healing partner, because that is very important to your journey, because you can't do it alone. You know, I had to learn that again, because I felt like I could do it by myself. I mean, I think we make ourselves such monuments, you know, and we don't honor the fact that we are human. You know, we are here doing this experience called life, that no one has have given us a handbook or a cheat code to know how to deal with these things. So, you know, we have made ourselves such monuments that we have a difficult time coming down to say, I can't be that high today. You know, I can't be that person for you today. I can't hold this space for you today. And just saying all of that to segue into how I've healed. And going through all of that brought me into my meditation practice, because I was in a space where, again, I couldn't think straight. I was having panic attacks. I was going into depression. And the very first the very first week that my father passed, I was going to the dentist. I had a toothache, and they gave me the pain medicine, and I said, oh gosh, this feels wonderful. I don't have to be here. I don't have to experience this. And I'm sharing this in transparency with you guys, because there's someone out there that is going through something similar. And I took to that for at least 2 weeks, you know, and it got to the point where my husband looked at me, he's like, you don't even have the issue anymore. Why are you still getting refills on this? Why are you still taking these pills? And I said, because I can be numb. And, you know, and I had to accept that space for myself. And it was hard, but I had to look at myself and say, Bianca, what do you want to do? Where are you going? How is this contributing to the world? Because everything that happens to us, it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us, you know, and it happens for us to be able to share with other people. So, you know, from that point on, I made a decision that I was going to get into trauma-informed yoga. I'm now a trauma-informed yoga teacher. I'm a stress management facilitator for busy career moms. Why? Because I was that busy career mom that lost my job after 8 years of being in healthcare administration. And I know what it looked like to juggle a husband, 5 children, 6 children if you count my husband. God bless him. But but you know, I know what that looks like. So now I can now pour back into the world. So one thing I want to, before I wrap it up, I want to give you guys an action step. 2 action steps, actually. If you would just pause with me for one moment and just bring awareness to your breath, to ask yourself just one question: how am I today? And just take a moment to inhale through your nose for about 3 to 4 seconds, and exhale through your mouth for about 6 seconds. And just remind yourself that you are doing an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job. And if we could just implement that in our daily routine, to pause, just pause and bring awareness to the now of where we are, pausing to bring awareness to what our bigger calling is, even through this hurt. Because again, no one wants to lose a family member. No one wants to experience grief in any way, but everything has a calling for higher. Everything is for us to pour back into another person, you know? So I just want to remind you guys that you can continually give yourself permission to feel and heal, because in order for you to heal, you have to feel. You have to feel. So you guys can follow me on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. Both hashtags or both links are Recreate You Wellness. And I would love to just, you know, connect, share my story with you guys a little bit more in depth. And I hope everyone watching has already purchased the book, because it is amazing. And again, Dr. Cherie, I just want to thank you. I've just really quick, I think I have a few more minutes. I just want to tell you, now that I have you here and I can look at you, I want to tell you, I've followed you for a long time, and you are a woman of purpose. you know, you are a woman of truth. And I don't take that lightly when I say that. I knew that when I met you before, that somehow, some way we would work together. And when I seen this, I was like, you know what? How can this be happening at the same time? So I give honor to that. And I give honor to this moment. And thank you all for having me.
Oh my goodness, y'all give her some hand claps and snaps. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. And I love how you spoke from your heart. And so that's what we need today, just to hear the raw truth. And thank you for being so open and authentic and letting us actually hear everything you were going through. I took a lot of notes, so I have like a page and a half now. So breathe. Like I love the fact you said that's the first thing we do when we enter this world. And that is the thing that we do when we leave. We take our last breath. And so just breathing can have a huge impact on our healing journey, as well as the part you talked about suffering secret panic attacks. So you are not alone. I've been there, done that. And every now and again, I feel it try to sneak back up. And I love the fact that you said that we are in control of our journey. We are in control of um, our lives. And so we have to take back that control, speak life into ourselves, like your brand says, and also to make sure that we're breathing, just breathing. Sometimes taking that pause from everything else. But yes, you are not alone. I know there's a lot of people out there who have suffered from panic attacks after losses. Um, it rocked my world when I had my first one after my son died, because I'm a control freak. Like everything, I'm like, I have everything in order, everything in my life. Let's put this here, let's do this. A little OCD sometimes with my pillows on my sofa, you know. And so when I had my first panic attack, it caused me to go into even a further panic attack because I didn't like the fact that I didn't have control and I couldn't stop it. So panic attacks are real. Anybody who says, "Oh, she's all right, whatever," no, they are real. You lose your breath. You have panting. You have chest pain. You don't know how. You don't know what to do. The first thing typically people want to do is give you medications, which I was anti-medication. Which if you need it, that's fine. But I was like, no, I can do this. I can control this myself. Well, guess what? I broke down and took some medication at one point, y'all, because I wasn't sleeping. I was up for a month. How do you not sleep for a month? I was taking cat naps for an entire month after I lost my son. So I was like, okay, I'm just existing. I wasn't living. I was not even functioning properly. 3 months I stayed home after the loss of my son. I didn't work. I didn't do anything. I just literally was on my sofa. So panic attacks are real. So thank you for sharing that part. Um, we feel like we have to prove that we're strong, and especially if we're in the public eye already, and we are public servants like most of us on here are. We feel like we have to be strong. We have to show other people what it feels like. That's why I was so transparent in my journey with showing on social media. That wasn't just for everybody else, that was for my healing as well, to be real with myself, to be authentic and show like, hey, this is some real stuff that we're going through right here. This is no joke. I love the tips that you gave. You know, a lot of times we want our loss, we want to feel numb. We don't want to address the loss. And what we're doing is we are prolonging our healing experience when we don't allow ourselves to feel and heal. And so give yourself that permission. That was one of your steps you talked about. Accepting where you are in this journey. It's okay if you can't show up on certain days. That's normal. If you were able to show up every day and miss your losses, then we would probably look at you a little different, be like, what's going on? Why is she so okay? So there are still days that each of us who have had experienced losses, which is all of us, that we just don't feel like we can show up. And it's okay not to show up on some days and just shut it down. I love the fact that you said, find you a healing partner, not a grieving partner, but a healing partner. Somebody that's going to pull you out of where you are. Somebody's going to be like, look, all right, look, okay, we can cry right now, but we're not going to stay stuck here. Let's get it together. Let's do something different. Let's go to Starbucks. I like Starbucks too, girl, but I had to stay away from that sugar with those, that caramel, girl, because I always used to get the extra caramel. So, the sugarless life ain't going to allow me to do that. Delana Watkins is on here. She's watching. I'm not doing my sugar, Delana. And then journaling. I remember I received one of the most beautiful journals from my cousin's wife, Sharia. She gave me one of the most beautiful journals with this elephant on it. And the pages were like parchment paper, and just the feel of it was comforting alone. But then as I started to write in it, I used the pressure from the pen on that paper to relieve some of the anxiety and the stress that I was going through. So journaling is very effective way of giving yourself that permission to feel and heal as well. So thank you so much, Bianca. That was truly amazing. remember to do a temperature check. And I know my grief counselor always tells me, do a temperature check every day. So you are in alignment with Montrella, who we're going to hear from later on this morning. Ask yourself, how am I today? Do your deep breathing exercises. So remind yourself that you're doing an amazing job. The fact that you woke up and you got up out of bed and you have clothes on. Because some days you may not want to get up out of bed. But when when those feet actually plant and hit the floor and you get up and you do your self-care and you take care of your needs, your activities of daily living, you are winning already. So keep going. Again, thank you everybody who is tuned in. Facebook Live, we are popping off. Everybody's putting comments. They're really enjoying this. Again, our book launched last month, the 22nd of May. We became a best-selling, number one best-selling book on the same day that we launched. We are still in the top 100. I think we're at like number 62 or 63 right now on Amazon. Still, almost a month later. You know what that tells us? That tells us that there are people hurting. People want the help. They want to heal. And all of the journeys that we are hearing about here today and the ones that we've heard about in the book Permission to Feel and Heal are helping people. I can't tell you how many phone calls that I've gotten to say, listen, thank you for doing this book. The purpose of the book was actually to help myself heal and write my story. And then I said, let me invite some other authors because I know there's somebody else out here that wants to share their healing journey. And this book has just impacted so many lives. I'm getting calls like every day, like, oh my goodness, this book is doing more than we ever imagined that it would do. So the virtual summit hopefully will aid and help others as well. We're going to keep this party going. So next we have Shayna Asby. Shayna, you can come on and you can take the stage, sis.
Hey everybody, how are you guys doing today? So my name is Shayna Asby and I am so grateful to be here. Yes, this is my personality, okay? I love people, I love life. My story is I felt like I went through grief since birth. My chapter talks about grief through family loss, dealing with my mom. I lost my mother gave me up when I was 12 years old, and I had two step parents, and I went through a lot of hurt, abuse, and I felt rejected. And of course, I went through a lot of stages. And the thing about it is that I was the eldest. Here I am, I'm the eldest. I have younger brothers and sisters, and I saw everything. I experienced everything. My chapter in the book is about missing mama, a broken family. And it talks about how I can remember when we used to celebrate Christmas. We used to celebrate Christmas. We used to listen to old Christmas carols, walking through the house, that feeling, that staying up late at night with your mother for a project, that you have to do for the next day, but that time that you spent with your mother. And when my mother gave me up when I was 12 years old, it was a shock to me. It was a hurt. It was a pain. It was a loss. It was a loss. And I didn't feel lost because she had left and she's permanently gone, but she's not here anymore. Then I had two younger brothers who felt that same pain and had to witness their lives because of the trauma. And so that's what my loss and my grief was in the book, and talking about that and how it shook and shattered my life and my brother's life. And through that, I had lost my way. I had no direction. As we know, family is the foundation for our lives. It is the beginning. It is the roots of where we're going to go and how we're going to go. But if you feel like you didn't have your mother, and then you're in this relationship with a step parent, two step parents, and it wasn't the best, you feel lost. You feel left. You feel neglected, left to the woods and the wilderness. But thank God that he put people in my life to allow me to inspire, to build, and became a part of my life to push me forward. And during my life, even now, I still deal with healing with my mom, and it's on different levels. And I had to realize that my mother too has a past. She has a journey, she has a story. And so why I've encountered some of the things had encountered as a child. In the process, I've lost a father to a motorcycle accident. He was the only father that I knew at a young age, and it was tragic. He had a hole in his head, a fractured neck, and a broken arm. My brother witnessed it. He was there. I also lost 10 years later my little brother in a car accident. And it was tragic. and just having to see my mother having to relive even some of the things that she put out on us, that she didn't realize how it was going to come back and affect her. It was grief. It was grief. And I just want to tell you that there, like someone said, it was Bianca and it was also Stacy. There's no time, there's no time that you actually heal. Healing is a process. I cannot tell you how fast you're going to heal. All I can do is help you through the hurt and tell you that if I can make it, you can make it. If I can make it, if Stacy can make it, if Dr. Cher can make it, if Dr. Kenya can make it, if Bianca can make it, if Jordan Johnny can make it, Malcolm Reed, Delana Watkins, David Banks, if they can make it, you can make it. I've made so many mistakes in this lifetime, as we all do. What is pain? What is pain? Pain helps you learn. It is lessons that you learn in this life through pain. One of the things that this life has taught me through the pain of grief, of losing my family at a young age, as feeling that hurt and feeling lost in life, is to share and to appreciate people. I appreciate the little things, moments, beautiful moments. I can remember when we first met one of my little sisters, we found out that my dad had another daughter. Here it is. I'm not his biological daughter. She is. They chose not to have her a part of his life because that's how they felt like they had to deal with it. But when we met her, my little brother found her on Facebook and we came together and we was at my grandfather's house and we had a party. And it was so much joy, so much love, and so much laughter. At the time, I did not like the song Pretty Wings. Pretty Wings was not my favorite song. It just was. I wasn't a Maxwell fan. I promise you, during that party, all the joy, all the laughter, everything that was going on, Pretty Wings came on the TV. And the whole room just stopped. And everybody was singing. And I paused. And I looked. And I was like, wow. Oh my God. I caught time. In that moment, I caught time. I caught it. They say you have that time where life flashes before your eyes before you die. But what do you want to have flashed? Is it us grieving? Is it us hurting? No, it's time. It's precious moments. It's laughter. It's beauty. Those are the things that help me heal. Music, people, building relationships, and lastly but not least, inspiring others to heal, to know that they have purpose in this life. I chose to take my stories, and many stories they are, because this is just one of many, okay? To inspire and to help foster children, to help children without parents, to help children that feel lost or left out or alone, to help them learn that they have a purpose in this life. I teach them through a program called The Right to Knowledge, where I teach them about self-love, understanding that everything you are in this life is purpose, and you are meant to be here, even for this moment, right here, right now. We have to learn how to love ourselves. We have to learn how to face the pain. I can't keep running. It was so many people running from pain. I used to run from it. Oh, I gotta move. Oh, I gotta leave. Let me do something different. And I've been through so much trauma, but it comes to a time where you just have to sit there and face it and realize it becomes a part of you. But as I ask people all the time, what did you learn from it? What did you learn? And how did you apply what you learned to yourself? So that's self-love. I teach them family, understanding that who you are within your family. No, I can't make people change, but I have to know that I have to be the best me within this time, within my family. Because everybody, they always looking for someone to look up to, or they're always looking for somebody. So why not be the best me in my family? so I can be the light for my family. Understand that we are all individuals in our family, and God gave us family in order to connect with other people. I call Dr. Cher sis all the time. I call my girlfriend sis all the time. I adopt mothers. I adopt fathers. I adopt sisters. I adopt brothers. And I tell people all the time, even though you grieve because we lost someone, now that just opened up our heart to add more to our family, because there's somebody out there without a mother. There's somebody out there without a daughter, somebody out there without a father, a cousin, a friend, or somebody to talk to. Why not you be that person? I also teach them about community, understanding that it's not just about me. It's about what I do in myself and how it affects my community and how my community affects me. And that what I've experienced, I share not for myself. I'm selfish to keep it to myself, but to share with that community, and that what I do affects my community, and what my community does affects me. Everybody in this room, we all have a connection. That's life. Not just grief, it's life. We're living. We're living. We're living. So that community, and I also tell them education, we're going to learn through life's experience forever, for life. We're going to always be learning. At the time that we stop learning something, we're dead. That's it. We're supposed to forever be learning. It's not just education through school, through college. No, it's education through life experiences and the wisdom of the things that you've learned along the way on that journey. The next thing I teach them is about self-love, family, community, education, and purpose. We all had a purpose. We all have a purpose. We were all purposed, and a part of our purpose is right here and right now for the Feel to Heal Virtual Summit. So my message to you is, look, love life, love this journey, love it, embrace it, catch the beautiful moments. And when you catch them, hold on to them. When you chilling, you're relaxing with your homies, your friends, your mother, your father, your brother, or your sister, just embrace it. Embrace it, because time does not stand still for anyone. Nobody. But it's not about time standing still. It's about what you did with your time. So I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Cher. As I stated before, when I saw you, as Bianca was saying before, oh my God. When I saw, especially to see someone who experienced, the motorcycle accident, that's how my dad died. I was 22 years old when I took care of funeral arrangements, and I had to take on that burden for the family, and it was so many obstacles. That's power right there. That's strength. That's strength. And I had to learn how to reach out. I'm going to tell you, the worst place to be through grief is alone. That's the darkest place. It takes you, you become dark. Don't go there. When you feel yourself, I pick up the phone. I call on God. That's my number one. I call on God, and I pick up the phone, and I reach out, and I call people. So I just want to say now I'm grateful that I'm part of another family of people who have went through some of the same things I've experienced. And now I can call on Stacy. I can call on Dr. Cher. I can call on Bianca. I can call on all of you guys for that one-on-one, that healing, that comfort. So again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your journey and your story. And thank you.
Awesome. Give her some hand claps and snap it, snaps. Thank you so much, Shayna. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Let me change this again. Thank you, everybody who's hanging in there with us this morning. We still have a few more speakers left. We promise we're not going to take up your whole Saturday, but this is an important topic. So permission to feel and heal. We all have losses. We all are healing from something that we've gone through, whether it's a long-term healing from our childhood or something that has happened to us recently. We all have something that we're healing from or have healed from. If you're somebody who has healed from something, type it in the feed what you've done to heal. Tell us so we can learn. We want to heal. So teach somebody else. So type it in there. Thank you, everybody that's tuned in on Facebook Live as well. Thank you, Stacy, for being our scribe today and throwing those juicy nuggets in there. I appreciate you. Shout out to Daisy Candy Brown, who's watching on Facebook Live, Michelle Setzer, Sharon Rudolph, Teresa Ann Mosley. Thank you for spending your morning with us. We appreciate you. Kelly Mack, anybody else that I'm missing? Kajafa, thank you. On here, we have Delana Watkins. Thanks for tuning in. Caprice Smith, Carmeletta McCroy, who is one of our contributing authors. Thank you for tuning in this morning, sis. Dr. David Banks is here. Johnny Joyner, Kim. I don't see a last name for Kim, but thank you for spending your morning with us today. We appreciate you. We hope that you are getting something worthwhile from today's virtual summit. With Shayna's speech just now, we took away some powerful lessons, like pain gives us lessons. And live your life, live your journey. Make sure that you recognize that you have a community that you can draw to. And that I love the part that you said that alone is the darkest place to be when you are healing and when you're going through loss. It definitely is, because it will have you spiraling downward. Seek help from somebody else, even professionals if you need it. Draw to those who you know have strength that you can draw, that you can make withdrawals from. People that we talked about earlier, have a healing partner. I love that. Also, you can't keep running from your pain. Like I said earlier today, sometimes you have to go through it to get through it. So you have to go through it to get through it. It's how long, it's up to you how long you let what hurt you haunt you. So, appreciate little things. I like that you said that music has helped you to heal. So there are many, many tips that you're going to take. I hope you all have your pen and paper, have your snacks. We're winding down. We only have a couple more speakers left, but we want to make sure that you're getting the most out of it. So take your notes. All right, next we're going to call to the stage. This is not only one of our speakers, but also this is a family member, Malcolm Reed. He is actually my cousin. And so we're just going to do a simple chat just to change up the monotony of things for a second. Let's see, gallery view. Let's see how I can put us both on here together. Y'all, I'm technically challenged, so bear with me. Let's see. Malcolm, are you there? Can you say something for me?
Well, hello there.
There we go. Okay, so you're on there. Maybe it won't show me, but it likes your face and doesn't like mine. So we're going to go with your. So we're just going to, Malcolm and I are just going to have a honest-hearted conversation and a chat to break up the monotony of you just listening to speakers for the entire time. So as I mentioned, Malcolm is my cousin, Malcolm Reed. Let me give his whole name. Talk to us, Malcolm, about some of the losses or a loss that you've encountered that you may have healed from or that you continue to heal from.
Well, I'll tell you, my losses, I'm going to share the sentiment of what Shayna said. It's been since birth. I've felt my whole life has been one trauma after another trauma after another trauma after another trauma. And, with my son passing away 2 years ago, for me, it was, this is the break point. I'm either going to live or I'm going to die. That's really what it came to. I'm going to have to face all this trauma. Something has to give. And so that's really what the challenge has been, from, being a young man, having a last name of a person who's not your dad not being in your life, molestation, all the way up. You're not feeling like you're enough, not feeling like you belong, prison, being in the hood, all the things that come along with that. Growing up, we used to call it cracking on each other, right? Whoever could belittle you the best was looked at like you were doing something good. Think about how backwards that is. We got pride out of finding the worst thing about you we could talk about, and you got accolades. So that's the vision I was, living with, throughout my entire life. And I made all kinds of crazy decisions as a result. But yeah, it definitely culminated 2 years ago when my son passed away.
Yeah, and a lot of you probably saw the post when I posted that little Malcolm had passed. He was in a tragic automobile accident crossing the street in St. Charles County. And so you probably saw that on the news, and also posted pictures and things of him. Such a great loss. Now, a lot of times I love the fact that we have a man here on the virtual summit. We did have 2 males in the actual book collaboration, but men have losses too. And
Yes.
so often we look at men as our source of strength, but who do the men draw their strength from? So talk to us about, where you've been drawing your strength, because you don't look like what you're saying that you've been through. And thank goodness that we don't look like what we are going through or have been through. So talk to us about where you draw your strengths from, and where do you go in your community to say, you know what, this is my healing grace, so this is what's been helping me.
That's a really good question. Is because, the first thing I had to do is I had to really do some self-work, do some self-discovery, right? The first question I asked myself was, do you want to live? Not just be alive, do you really want to live? And so my first step was I started seeing a therapist, and we focused on introspection because, dealing with so much trauma, I became a victim, right? I was walking around as a victim, and being a victim is not a good place to be. So the first thing I had to do is do a lot of internal work. And what I had to come to grips was what are Malcolm's morals? What are my values? What are my ethics, right? Because if I couldn't identify with my own morals, values, and ethics and who I really was, then there's no way I can live at this point, because who am I, right? So it started there. So I had to do a lot of internal work. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, I didn't like the things that I saw. And so what it taught me is that I had to start living based off of my morals and values once I discovered them, as impulses and my feelings. That was a game changer for me, because I was making decisions based on how I felt. And my impulses change, but my morals and values, they're there. And so when I started making my decisions based on my morals and values, no longer did it matter what other people thought, how they felt, how they saw me, because I did the work to figure out who I really was, where I was really going, and what really mattered to me. And quite frankly, I didn't have those tools. God, period. That's where I get my morals from. My moral campus would have me doing anything. Remember, I had trauma my whole life, right? So I had to find a different source and tap into somewhere else that can give me what true morals look like, what real values look like. And then I started connecting with them. And that's really, and then how do I go about, getting help in the community? It's by serving others. See, what happens is when I show up to support other people, I can't be having a pity party for as someone mentioned earlier, right? You have to find your healing partner, right? Not that person that's going to keep you in that space. So I find myself being that person that openly shares, like openly, what I've gone through. And so many other people, let me change. I've not met one person who has not had trauma. Every single person I've met has dealt with some type of trauma. And it's just amazing when, as a man, to open up and speak about it openly without any shame, that's the impact, because now other people don't feel like they have to keep hiding. It's like sometimes through me, it gives them the strength to open up and talk about the stuff that they deal with. And that's where I've seen the biggest impact, especially the fact that I coach businesses. Most of the time, it's not tactics. They're dealing with trauma. They're dealing with their mess. And so we talk about that. And when they see me show up real, it allows us to get past the mess to now focus on. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, that answered the question very eloquently. Get your wife here, because we're not gonna put you out there like that. We got some drip break. I ain't gonna let you go out like that. I ain't gonna let you go out like that.
I'm under the weather, but
I know. That's why I got you back. I'm not gonna let you go out there on camera like that. Anyway, so thank you. That was you definitely answered the question.
Hey, look, I showed up.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you showing up. We needed a male's perspective to talk about this important topic of permission to feel and heal. Now, I know recently you and I were talking on the phone about those waves of emotions that come and go, and talk to us a little bit about that from a man's perspective, because people think that men don't feel. Like, people really think like you guys are the rock all the time, but we know that there are times where in silence a man may go and cry. A man may go and have his moments too where he doesn't want to be bothered. Talk to us about those emotions from a man's standpoint.
A real man has emotions. A real man is in touch with his emotions. Think about someone who is just blank. That's not even a person. When I learned to stop suppressing what I was really feeling, and I mean suppressing it with alcohol or smoking weed or whatever, I did to mask it being real, I still felt it. After I got to a certain point of, after Remy, I had 3 or 4 Remy, I start crying even more. Yeah. So what I realized is that put aside all the crutches and allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. And only then, when I allowed myself to feel what I feel, could I begin to show up as a real man. Because now I can teach other men that it's our feelings and being in touch with them that allows us to protect. It's being in touch with who we are as a man, good, bad, or indifferent, that allows us to take a leadership role, because what we do, how we show up, not what we say, that people follow, right? So as a man, I think it's what really cemented my manhood, was the ability to feel it, uninhibited, and deal with it, and then openly discuss it. And it's allowed other men too to come out of hiding, because we don't talk often, and share their experiences as well. And that's what the power is, I believe.
Absolutely. Yes, that was powerful. All right. We'll wrap it up with you. So if you could give us 3 ways that you would encourage someone who is hurting right now, and I'm gonna say specifically men, but it's gonna apply to the women. What are 3 ways that you would give, that you would say this is gonna help you on your healing journey? Give us 3 key points to take away.
First thing, have a real conversation with yourself. Like, what are your motives here, right? Are you out there doing this to get pity from others? So that's the first thing. Like, really check your motives and check yourself. Number 2, once you identify what your real motives are and you really have that internal conversation with yourself, take action. What I mean by take action, that means that whatever suggestions you're getting, if it's from a therapist, a counselor, someone that's supporting you, take the action. Don't just sit back and just take the information, do something with it. And third, this is so critical. And again, this was mentioned by Shayna. You cannot be alone. You must let other people know what you're dealing with, and show up. Do not isolate. Do not isolate. And those are the 3 things that I would say.
All right. Thank you so much, Malcolm. I know you have a busy day ahead of you. Thank you so much for just showing up today. We need a male perspective. We need to hear from our men more often. Again, we rely on men to be sources of strength. Who do we go to and we cry on as women? We normally go to a man's shoulder and lay on the shoulder, and then his arms wrap around us and we feel secure and we feel safe. But who do you go to when you need that security and that safety and that nurturing and that love and support that you need, especially in the midst of loss? So thank you so much. You know, I love you to life. And thank you so much for joining us today. This was very powerful.
Yes.
Those 3 tips that he gave, if you're taking notes. Thank you, Stacy, for scribing. Have a real conversation with yourself. This is the one time we're going to tell you it's okay to talk to yourself. Have a real conversation with yourself. What's your true motive? What is your motive? Number 2, take action. When you get the help that you need, when you have that bereavement counselor or that therapist, if they tell you to do things, do it. If they give you those exercises, they give you those different things to do every day, make sure that you're doing it. That's going to help push you through. Number 3, do not isolate. We've heard that more than once today. Do not isolate. When you isolate yourself, you can fall into that deep depression. And then I love the fact that you talked about making impulsive decisions based on how you're feeling instead of what your morals are. I love that, because just to be open and authentic, there's been days where I've been like sliding down the slope, like, okay, I know I drink more than I normally drink on a regular basis. Like, you're trying to drown that pain, like Bianca, like Bianca had mentioned earlier, like you just want to feel numb. You don't want to feel that hurt. You don't want to feel that pain. And so those are some things that I had to be honest with myself and know, like when you're going through your feelings, you might not want to pick up a drink, because like you said, I start crying more. It was like, oh my God, now I can't stop crying, because the alcohol is bringing out the true emotions, and the feelings is just a depressant. It's making me feel worse than what I was before. So be honest with yourself. Have that real conversation. What are the things that I'm doing I normally wouldn't do if I wasn't hurting right now? And then try to replace those negative decisions or those sudden decisions with things that match and align with your morals. So thank you again, Malcolm. Love you to life. Thank you so much. All right. I hope everybody is enjoying this. This is good, y'all. This is so good. Yes, this is so good. So we're going to keep it moving, because we have some more juiciness to give you. And then at the end, I'm going to close out and give you some more tips, which is probably going to be repetitive of what some other people have said, because we all are in alignment here. We all are healing from losses. Some of us are still grieving. We have healed. We are healing. To me, I think that healing is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing thing. You never completely are fully healed. You are just continuing to heal as you live your life. So next, we have Dr. Kenya Rawls taking the stage. Let me put her up here. Dr. Kenya, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
There we go. You have the stage, beautiful.
Nothing in life is certain and consistency is scarce. Changes occur at the twinkling of an eye, causing dreams to wither and die. After I was sexually assaulted, it didn't allow me to be what was inside. My mind said no, and my body was terrified. I questioned my womanhood. My insides were labeled damaged goods. My nightmares told my story. My dreams held my visions confined from reality, and reality itself was a mystery I couldn't solve. The pain was left unattended in me. I didn't know where to find treatment for my tarnished soul that had mildew and mold. The torture kept me under constant emotional, spiritual, and physical attacks. I didn't choose for the pain to hold me back. Sexual violence stifled me from growing. How did a rapist get pleasure by torturing my greatest treasure? His twisted mind put me to the test. He assaulted me, not caring if I'd ever find rest in my body, peace in my spirit, or composure in my demeanor. The one test I failed so bad. He robbed me of every ounce of confidence I had. He caught me by surprise. When people found out what he did, why was I criticized? He alone severed all family ties. He saw the fear in my eyes, but his nature still managed to rise. Why was he able to get enjoyment from my pain? What he did slowly drove me insane. What was he expecting to gain? I was a child and I was condemned for ruining his name. It was overlooked that he played with my body like it was a game. I wasn't his first victim and he had no plans to make me his last. Did he learn that disturbing conduct from his own past? I'm curious to know, was it learned or was he a victim of his own destructive behavior? My days became shorter and my nights grew long. I punished myself because I felt I had done something wrong. Surely it was the outfit I was wearing or the style of my hair. Maybe it was the dangling earrings or the lip gloss that took him there to that twisted place in his consciousness. I wondered, did he come to the reunion stalking and seeking child's play, or was he going to violate me no matter what I wore that day? He stripped me of my innocence, left me empty, and continued serving in the church, spreading abuse and inflicting hurt. After he abused my inner self, nothing was left. It was demoralizing, and the brokenness paralyzed my ability to explore the journey of life, which leads to destination. I couldn't comprehend. I had no power to defend my insides. I was left without a guide. I no longer had the ability to see the image of Christ or feel the comforter he left to comfort me. My body didn't trust me to protect it, and I suspected everyone and trusted no one. I went numb. My insides had died because my mind said no, and my body was traumatized. He sexually assaulted part of me, and my whole body suffered the shock. My heart locked. It locked me outside. My mind said no, and it locked me out, and I attempted suicide. I'll never forget that night. I took my last breath as a little girl and reluctantly agreed to my position as a dysfunctional member of society and welcomed all type of rapists into my world. Greetings, I am Dr. Kenya, your mental wellness strategist, and I gave myself permission to feel and heal. Can I share with you why I'm so passionate about this topic? Grief is happening to everyone around the world in some manner or fashion or form, one way or the other. We've all experienced and or has been affected in some manner by this traumatic reality. At one point in my life, I was completely numb because of grief. Glenn Melton said, numbness keeps us from becoming. I'm so eager for every woman to treat the root of her pain, not just the symptoms. I want to see my sisters restored and fulfilled and living their purpose. What if I told you that your loss that you dealt with wasn't to destroy you? Would you believe me? More importantly than me telling you, what if you told yourself? Would you believe you? It's very important that you hear yourself speaking life, love, hope, truth, and peace because your mental wellness matters. Make a commitment to yourself to feed your mind daily. Repeat after me. I am whole. Say it again. I am whole. Type it in the chat. I am whole. Our words have responsibility. It is imperative for your mind to hear you speak in positivity. Life isn't always peaches and cream. Regardless of what happens, we can grow through it. I struggled with losing myself, and my life was completely spiraling out of control. I was so ashamed I couldn't protect myself. I was grieving the loss of me, but I didn't know me. So I was so confused about who I was, so I didn't have a clue what I was looking for. I just knew I wanted to be whole. My mental wounds were so hard to heal because I needed to heal the little girl within first. The abuse just consumed all my thoughts. I replayed the scenarios in my mind over and over and over. I adopted a victim mentality, made excuses for not being healed because I didn't think I had the strength to heal. I didn't know I deserved to be healed. Ultimately, I didn't have a clue what it took to be healed. Reliving negative experiences again and again will only prolong the suffering and stifle growth. Mental wounds, just like physical wounds, require the proper care to heal. Without a safe place to heal and to be heard and to be understood, the pain and the shame can keep you from being whole. The journey for peace after the storm will not be easy, but you're worth being whole. David Richo believes our wounds are often the openings into the best and most beautiful parts of us. To receive proper mental care, it's vital to change your thought process. Continuously thinking negative creates a toxic mindset. It was imperative to create an atmosphere conducive to heal what broke me. Sis, wholeness is your portion. Speak it, believe it. Type that in the chat. Wholeness is my portion. To help heal the little girl within and build up my mental wellness, I created and executed the AAA method. Admit, ask, action. What is admitting? Well, I'm glad you asked. Admitting you're broken, bruised, and or bleeding is significant because you're no longer in denial. You know there's a problem. So for an example, if you went to the hospital right now, the staff is going to ask, what brings you in today? How did this happen? What is your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10? You will be required to admit why you need to be treated. Admitting allows you to identify the specific area where it hurts, which means the correct area can be treated. Number 2, asking. What is asking? Well, I'm glad you asked. Asking for help requires mental fortitude. When you ask for help, your mind get on one accord with what your wounds need. Asking indicates you have an expectation. You know it isn't something you can do alone. So here's an example. If you were pregnant, would you attempt to deliver your baby alone? Delivering a baby requires many people doing a lot of different things that they specialize in. Or would you feel guilty about not being able to specialize in every area you need to deliver for your own baby? Asking for assistance isn't a sign of weakness. Sis, is actually a sign of strength. Number 3, taking action. How do you take action? Well, I'm glad you asked. Taking action in its simplest forms means you've made a commitment to do whatever it takes to heal. When you take action, you're deciding to execute a plan. Setting a step-by-step goal will help you keep track of what you're attempting to accomplish. If you are hungry, but you never took any action to feed yourself, you would starve. Taking action requires being responsible for what you need. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the AAA method. Number 1, admit. Number 2, ask. Number 3, action. Admit you need mental wound care. Ask for help for your wounds and make a commitment with your actions to heal your wounds. We as a society, we as a community, we as a race, we as a gender, we as a sisterhood should unite and support each other. All women should have a safe space to properly heal and have our voices heard. No one should suffer in silence. As a result of so much abuse, I literally lost my mind. The loss you've experienced or is experiencing may be so unbearable you feel like you're going to lose your mind. You're strong enough to grow through it. The road to recovery is not built on isolation. We are better together. Our losses may or may not be the same, but our grief is still grief. And without the proper care, we can't heal. Please understand, you haven't gone through all you've gone through to remain the same. Healing is your portion. Martin Luther King Jr. said, as my sufferings mount, I soon realized that there were 2 ways in which I could respond to my situation, either to react in bitterness or seek transformation from the suffering into a creative force. I decided to follow the latter course. I am the CEO and founder of SIS, Synergy and Sisterhood, Counseling, Coaching, and Consulting. If you would like a free copy of my list of mental wellness strategies that you can implement today to rest, refresh, and renew your mind, please email me at drkenyainspires@gmail.com. In the subject line, just write reset, refresh, renew. Also, follow me on all social media platforms at Dr. Kenya Inspires. I've shared with you the honesty in my truth, the love in my roots, the beauty from within, the self of my esteem, the colors of my rainbow, the brightness in my glow, the beat in my heart, the sweet in my tart, the stability in my soul, the integrity that makes me whole. I've learned to embrace the phenomenal in me. Again, I am Dr. Kenya, and reach out to me for your mental wellness strategies. Thank you.
Woo, everybody got a pen. Y'all pick your pen, just drop the mic. They mics, drop them. Yes, Dr. Kenya brought the fire. Yes, honey. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. You see, we were talking about losses on different levels. We're not just talking about the loss of life and grieving the loss of loved ones. We're talking about losses on all different levels. Thank you, Dr. Kenya. That was absolutely amazing. I loved your style of speaking. It was amazing. Thank you for sharing your truth. We definitely appreciate you. All right. I am whole. That's what she had us type in the feed. I am whole. So all of us have to embrace being whole. I love the fact that you said that grieving the loss, you are grieving the loss of yourself. So many people are grieving the loss of themselves because something has happened and they lost who they were, or they've lost their way. Also, I love the fact, I can appreciate this being a wound nurse. It says wounds are the opening. You said wounds are the opening of the most beautiful parts of us. I love that statement. So the wounds that we have are gonna, as we heal, we're gonna see the most beautiful reflections of ourselves once we're done our healing process. Make sure you look up Dr. Kenya. I love the 3 A's, the admit, ask, and action. Admit that you have that pain. Ask for help. It's a sign of strength. And also commit to healing is the action portion. Thank you again, Dr. Kenya. We so appreciate you. And I know that somebody was touched out there by your story. Last but not least, before we wrap up today's virtual summit, we have Montrella Cohen. So we're going to let you take the stage, sis.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I have one question for everyone. Are you on a mission? You know, we're covering a difficult topic, and I don't want to be redundant today because a lot of my co-authors and speakers have already addressed so much of what's important. I do have a PowerPoint to share, but the question is, are you on a mission? Another quote from Dr. King, we just heard an excellent one, is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And that really goes back to the beginning question of, are you on a mission? Because if you saw Mission Impossible, the movie with Tom Cruise, you know, he didn't exactly know what the mission was up front. And that's how our lives are. We don't know what our missions are, but we know that God is in control and we are on assignment. It was June the 20th, 2018, when I got the call. The investigative officer asked me, "Are you driving?" Now, I never thought such a simple inquiry would leave such an indelible mark on my heart. The words that followed from the officer was something that a parent would never want to hear, a parent's worst nightmare, really. He asked me, was I the mother of my daughter who was really labeled a Jane Doe at the time, as she was carried out on a stretcher in her PJs with no identification. And I said, "Yes, I'm China's mother." And he said calmly, "She passed away." And I was like, "No, not my daughter." I fell to the floor. I was actually at work and I screamed. And my coworkers was banging on the door, you know, trying to figure out what the hell is going on in there. My intern picked up the phone to hear the rest of the bad news that the officer had to deliver. It was amazing. It was, you know, like I said, a parent's worst nightmare. China was 25 years old when she passed away from lupus. Her daughter Sakai was only 5 years old at the time. And it was like I was in the twilight zone because my mother had just passed away 4 months before that from heart failure. And the ugly truth is that I was actually raped by China's father at the age of 14. But the beauty is that she was the most beautiful child in the world. I think all parents believe that about their babies. And although I was really an illegitimate mother because I didn't know what the hell I was doing at 15, I loved her unconditionally. Do y'all know what I mean? You know, our children are really true gifts in this world. And the reality is, this is so hard to accept that when they're given to us, right, and they're born to us, guess what? They're on a mission too. And none of us know when our mission is up or when we've actually achieved it. And that's a really hard pill to swallow. Like I said, many of the co-authors and speakers today already touched on a lot. But I want you to know, you heard a lot of examples, including Shayna and Malcolm, that many of us, and as you can hear, even me, have experienced a lot of grief. In fact, Malcolm said since he was born, he was dealing with loss. And it's true, because love and grief so mysteriously go hand in hand. And it's hard to keep in mind that God has a divine plan. But there are two different types of trauma. One is a single traumatic event in a given time period. And that could be by way of, you know, a death. But then there's that complex trauma where we're experiencing on multiple levels. You know, we're dealing with COVID right now, and we're nearly reaching 3 million deaths just from that. You had the situation with George Floyd, where even if we weren't directly kin, we felt it and we experienced it vicariously. And there's just so many dramas. Some of us are dealing with divorce and separation. Some of us have been raped. We're dealing with so many traumas. Even we deal with grief when we are experiencing good things, like moving into a new home. So it's important to just rekindle, just recognize that what you're feeling is real. And that's why we're here today. We want to grant you, we want to remind you that you, darling, have permission to feel and to heal. Some of the stages of grief, the one I like is from Kubler-Ross. And this is just a visual. You know, I love to, you know, kind of paint a picture, and Dr. Good mentioned it earlier. I really do want you to like take your pulse, take your vital signs, your grief vital signs, because what can happen is you can be grieving several things at one time, and guess what? Be on different stages of grief for each one of them. So it's good to say, okay, what's the source and what stage am I in? And that way, when you're angry at the cat or your kids or for no apparent reason, and people are like, yo, what's going on? You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You can take a look and say, oh, I'm dealing with grief. I'm at the anger stage. Okay. These are just some physical effects. And of course, this is not exhaustive, but I know we have a lot of medical health professionals on the line, and I know they would concur, but you may be, you know, you may not link all the time how you're feeling and grief, but they go hand in hand. So headaches, many people are struggling. I just read a quote from the Sleep Association about 70 million Americans suffer from a sleep disorder, with the main one being insomnia. People can't even rest. Sickness. These are ways that we just try to grapple, right? And we're mentally, emotionally torn, and it just manifests itself physically. Loss of focus, difficulty concentrating, isolation, and low energy. Those are some of the physical experiences you may have. Now, this was also mentioned earlier, but I gotta reiterate as a mental health professional, these are the ways that we do not cope. And it can get tricky because happy hour, what an oxymoron. Alcohol is a depressant. And I'm not gonna get off that soapbox. I know some of y'all are sensitive about your stuff, but please do not cope with grief by overusing alcohol, substance abuse, and prescription drugs. Okay. Also, don't ignore your emotions. When we're dealing with trauma, which grief can cause, we have really two ways we go. We fight it or we flight. We just run. And so what I'm encouraging is that you embrace the emotions and experience it. Not be inundated, but experience it. And don't pretend. Don't pretend that you are okay. Don't pretend that you don't need support. Okay. Don't pretend that you can do this all on your own. I'm not saying you'll never have times where you do want to be alone, and that's okay too. And maybe that's it. Don't pretend that you really want to be hanging out when in fact you need to just make that request to have your moment. And this is huge. And I really went through this because how many of you are the strong ones in the family? If you're the strong one, put the strong one in the chat box. I'm the strong one. Don't you know these folks, these fools, they don't think we have to grieve too. They don't think we feel too. They think we're supposed to be just going and going like an energizer battery. So sometimes you will find out in grief, I know for me, as I lost my mama and my daughter 2 generations in 1 year, my tolerance got real low for BS, y'all. Real low. You gotta cut those toxic connections with others. They're not all toxic, but some of them are. Y'all know the ones. You feel it. This is what I'm encouraging. This is what this is all about. We're giving you the permission to feel and heal. And when it ain't feeling right, when the vibe ain't right, cut it. So let's get to what we can do in order to move forward in order to grieve with grace, in order to find the light in the darkness. You know, the Bible talks about that, y'all, that out of the darkness came the light. So I want you to understand that grief and death and dying is a part of the human experience. It's a hard pill to swallow, I know. So read the chapter in the book, but number one is take your grief vitals, as I had mentioned earlier. Number two is validate yourself emotionally, like how you're feeling, you know, and some of us talked about that today, but shame goes with it. A lot of guilt sometimes, right? A lot of guilt. Like, how do you outlive your child? A parent feels really guilty about that. We got to go back to that mission. She had a mission. China had a mission. And we have to work to accept those missions for each of us. Open your fortunate cookies. For me, that just means gratitude. At that stage of grief, where you get to acceptance, the final stage, which, by the way, we don't stay there, y'all. You know, the 20th is coming up. June 20th is coming up. This book was released on, May 20th, May 22nd, rather, which is when my granddaughter's birthday is. So you're going to have triggers. That's my point, that we're in a triggering environment and things are going to happen, scents and voices and names and all kinds of things are going to remind you. That'll knock you back to a different stage. But as you get to acceptance, you do start to say, well, at least I got the 25 years. And they were amazing. China was, don't sleep on it. China was a boss. She had purchased her own home in Washington, D.C. That was a dream for her. She did become a mother. As she was a child, I had her traveling all over the world. I mean, she really lived, y'all. She was the beast at her work and all of that. And so in the spirit of China, I want to encourage you to embrace, the process of grief and use these steps that I'm encouraging you to do. Practice the gratitude, look around. I know it's hard as heck. Sometimes you literally have to just look around and find something like a coaster to be grateful for and reach out for professional help. This is a big one too, because we're trying to burden our family and friends with stuff. They're not qualified for that. They want to help. They don't know what to say. That's why they may say some of the most annoying things sometimes. That's why they keep talking and giving you suggestions when you just want them to listen. That's professional help. Reach out for it. And for the most part, you can get it through insurance or sometimes it's free through EAP. So don't make that an excuse. Reach out. It's okay. I know culturally, reaching out for help and telling folk our business can be seen as a sign of weakness and vulnerability. But I'm here to tell you, as a health professional, you are not alone. And it's one of the most powerful things you can do is reach out for that objective perspective. What would this allow you to do? First of all, it's going to allow you to put your oxygen mask on first. For those of us who have taken a flight, you know the drill. When you get on that flight, they don't say, if you have a 2-year-old, nope. They say, put on your oxygen mask first, because you can't be of service to anyone else if you don't have the breath that you need. And also, Dr. Good talked about this one, about, wanting to control things, practicing those steps that I encourage you to do will allow you to start to accept what you can control and what you can't. And again, those missions, y'all, we can't control them. We just have to be on them. Prayer and supplication, my God. Get down on your knees and pray. A lot of stuff just start with a question. It's when you ask the question, what is my purpose? Why is this happening? What is the lesson out of that 10-year relationship that was terrible? What's the lesson? God will deliver. And John 16:22 says, therefore you too have grief now, but I will see you again and your heart will rejoice and no one will take your joy away from you. Remember, y'all, the mission. Get on it. Live life to the fullest. Live every day like it is your last. And that's all I want to say to you. At Affinity Health Affairs, we provide a clear roadmap from darkness and distress, such as that given to us by grief and loss. And we provide light so that you can get on that healing process and to have happiness. So you can contact us. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. And I wish you well in all of your life journey and your mission.
Yes, everybody give her hand claps and snap, 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 snap. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Montrella. Just my transparency moment. Montrella is my grief counselor that I see actually, and it's definitely been a great source of healing for me. Just to have someone who, first of all, at first I didn't even know her story when I chose her as my grief counselor, but then to hear that she knew the pain of losing a child, it definitely drew me in even closer to her to use her services, because she was like, it was like somebody looking in the mirror and knowing exactly what I was feeling from day to day. So definitely look up her services that she provides. We've learned a lot today from this virtual Permission to Feel and Heal virtual summit. Every single speaker / author has poured into you, has let you have some amazing, amazing tips on how you can begin to heal from your losses. Now, losses, we're not talking about just losses and death. We're talking about losses on whatever level, whether it be financial, whether it be emotional loss, whether it be things that happen to you throughout your life, not just the loss of death. So I hope that something here today has resonated with each and every one of you. I'm going to just give you 7 quick tips on how you can begin to heal after losses. Number 1, be kind and merciful with yourself. Number 2, just breathe. And we've heard some of these things multiple times throughout this virtual summit, so we're all in cahoots. I promise we didn't share notes either, but just breathe. The fact that you wake up every day, again, it's a do-over to fix whatever it was about yesterday that you did not like, or to feel better than what you did yesterday. We draw strength every single day that we get up and just breathe. Number 3, talk about it. Don't keep your pain inside. It's important to have someone to talk to about your pain, whether it be a counselor, whether it be a close friend, whether it be someone who shares your like healing journey. Like Bianca earlier talked about, get that healing partner, have someone to talk to. Number 4, rely on that higher power. Montrella, you just touched on that as well. Tap into your faith strings. Pray out loud, get on your knees and supplicate. There have been many, many days where I've just dropped to my knees and like, God, please help me. Give me the peace to get through this healing journey. Give me the power, give me the strength beyond normal to make it through this devastating blow that's been thrown into my life. Number 5, turn your pain into purpose. So many of you have known that after losing Jordan, I jumped straight into action. I had to do something to put that pain somewhere else. I had to fuel something else with that pain instead of just wallowing in that pain. So start initiatives. Start to do things that's going to be a voice for other people who are voiceless. So set up initiatives. Maybe do counseling, like Montrella is a counselor, like Dr. Kenya is a counselor. Do things that can aid other people. That turns your pain into purpose. Number 6, seek help. If there is nothing wrong with counseling, there is no shame in counseling or a therapist. So talk to a professional who has been truly trained, like Dr. Kenya and Montrella, in order to give you the necessary tools to help get you through your healing process. And last but not least, create your legacy now. If nothing else, your losses should have sparked in you self-observation to see, what am I doing today that is going to be talked about for years and years to come. Create a legacy that will be talked about forever. When I talk about my Jordan Alexander Cofield, in 20 years, this kid, he had a legacy that was beyond normal for his years. People are still talking about Jordan. People all over the world that I don't even know. I didn't even know my son knew. They're like, oh, I knew your son. I've heard of your son. I've known him. What legacy are you building for yourself today? So truly look at your life. Again, we are not promised the next second of life. We always say we're not promised the next day. We are not promised the next second of life. What are you doing today that's going to help the life of someone else? That's how we all should be living. You are granted permission. You are granted the permission to acknowledge what hurt you. You are granted permission. You are granted the permission to feel the pain behind all of your losses. You are granted permission. You are granted permission to heal from everything that has ever hurt you in this life. You are granted permission. You are granted permission to continue to heal as long as you find it necessary to find your way each and every day. I am Dr. Cherie M. Good, also known as the Recharge Strategist. I want to thank everyone who spent time with us this morning to grant themselves the permission to feel and heal. I would like to thank all of our speakers, all of our contributing authors. This truly brings me to tears. Y'all have been fighting tears all morning, just the fact that this project alone is helping so many lives. It is impacting the lives of so many. There are so many hurt people right now, not just from the pandemic, but just from lifetime losses, from childhood to current times. People are hurting. Please share this broadcast. If you're on Facebook Live, please share it. People will go back and watch it. This will be uploaded on my YouTube channel, Dr. Cherie M. Good, the Recharge Strategist, for you to replay. And each one of our speakers will actually get the replay to be able to post it as well. Let's make it normal to feel and heal. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Saturday, and thank you for giving us your time today. Bye, everybody. Make sure you follow me on social media, Dr. Cherie M. Good, my website, totalharmonyenterprises.com. Bye, everybody.